Welcome back to the KJ Methods YouTube channel. Today we are on Valuation Test Review number 3. I don't know how you've been doing on the value, but it does seem to give students a rough time. So make sure that you are understanding the concepts, not just regurgitating them. I'm KJ from the KJ Method. I am a real estate attorney as well as a pre-licensed instructor, and I run this channel. My goal is to get 1,000 students licensed before the end of 2025. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about the KJ Method. All right, the other thing is, if you want the study guide that I developed for you guys, please click the link below. I'll remind you again of it at the end of the video. Without further ado, let's get started with number 3. 21. You live in a neighborhood where the high property taxes lead to less houses being sold in that neighborhood. This is an example of, we had something like this before. Is that regression, progression, economic obsolescence, or economic deterioration? This is the houses can't be sold because the property taxes are so high. That would be economic obsolescence. Why is that? Because there's pressure being put on the property externally, right? Externally. Give you an example. I used to live in upstate New York. And when I lived up there, there was one particular area that the property taxes were so high that the house prices were lower if you were going to buy there because of those property taxes. Economic obsolescence. 22. You are on the board of trustees of a large museum. The real estate market is booming, and you want to make sure that your insurance policy is up to date and will cover any damage to the building in the event of a fire. You commission an appraisal of the property. Which appraisal method does the appraiser indicate he or she will use to complete the appraisal? Large museum, what are you going to use? Gross rent multiplier? The income or capitalization method? C, the replacement cost method? Or D, the market data method? That's easy. Replacement cost, guys. Again, you need to know these like the back of your hand. So let's go over them real quick. A, gross rent multiplier, gross income multiplier. That's when there's two rental properties, right? And we're looking at the rents and how much they should sell for. So there's nothing talking about rent here. Income or cap approach would be, we're looking at the income on a building, right? We're looking at the income and the value to the building. Nothing here about income. Replacement cost is going to be these unique properties where we don't have a comp. How many museums are out there being sold? None, right? And so replacement cost makes sense. D, market data. 95% of residential properties, regular residential real estate, uses the market data approach, okay? So you need to remember that so that you can answer those value questions really quickly. 23, what happens when plottage occurs? A, the planning board allows the rezoning, which results in an increase in the value of land. B, the HOA is successful in forcing the homeowners to stop building in violation of the building codes, which maintains the value of everyone's land. C, assemblage took place, which results in a larger tract of land with no increase in value, but an increase in marketability. D, assemblage took place, which resulted in a larger tract of land and an increase in value. We've had another one like this before, so now if you understand, because you've been listening, you understand the concept, you're like, KJ, that's D. No problem, that's D, right? Because we put the properties together, we got an increase in value. That is what is called plottage. 24, the least expensive property in a neighborhood gains value because it is located near properties of greater value. What is that called? A, principle of anticipation. B, the principle of substitution. C, the principle of progression. D, the principle of regression. So you have the least expensive property in the neighborhood and it is gaining value. It's just gaining value because of those other properties. That's the best situation that you want to be in. That is called progression. The other term we use that goes right with this is unearned increment. You're getting an unearned increment. What do I mean by that? You're just sitting there, you're like, yeah, y'all go ahead with those big properties. As you are just out there with the big properties, what am I doing? I'm just gaining value, okay? 25, producers enter and leave the market based on market conditions and opportunities. If too many producers enter the market, the resulting conditions may be that A, housing prices will remain stable. B, interest rates will remain stable. C, existing housing prices may fall. And D, existing housing prices may rise. So what do you think about this? Producers enter and leave the market based upon market conditions. Too many producers are coming into the market. Let's say a lot of builders are coming into the market. So eventually, the existing housing prices are going to fall. Why is that? Because at a certain point in time, they would have met all of the demand, right? So they see a lot of people need houses. So this person comes in to build, this person comes in to build, then they're like, oopsie. We overbuilt. Now we got all of these houses and we don't have enough people. So what's going to have to happen with those house prices? They're going to go down for people to buy them. 26. Which of the following would be classified as an example of functional obsolescence in a home? You see that we've tested this one several times. A broken window. B, sagging floors. C, lack of adequate electrical wiring for contemporary usage. D, location in the neighborhood of multiple family dwellings. Well, we talked about this. Functional is how the house functions. The other context clue that I told you about when you're looking for functional is this word contemporary. Lack of adequate wiring for contemporary usage. Just going over A and B, if your window is broken or your floors are sagging, that is physical deterioration. 27. Which of the following would not be a consideration on an appraisal report on a residential dwelling? A, the type of property surrounding the subject property. B, the height of the lot in relation to the street. C, the presence or absence of an HVAC system. D, the ethnic composition of the neighborhood. That should go ding, ding, ding. No, wait a minute. They can't do that. They can't talk about the ethnic composition of a neighborhood in a residential appraising. So that's simple. That's fair housing violation. They could not do that. 28. An investor wishes to compare the relationship between the selling prices and the rental rates of a 10-family property he's considering. The appraiser would most likely use which method? We talked about this. Rental rate selling prices. Is he going to use the cap rate? A. B, the gross rent multiplier. C, the gross income multiplier. Or D, replacement cost. You see this is a common theme. You got to know which one they use for which. That's where a lot of the testing is. This and as well as physical, functional, and economic. Okay? And so the answer here is going to be C. Gross income multiplier. How do I know that? Because they're talking about selling prices and rental rates. So we're either going to be in gross rent or gross income. But then it says 10 family unit. So anything that is over 5 units is going to be gross income. If it's 1 to 5 units, then it's going to be gross rent multiplier. And actually, that's correct. It's 1 to 4 units is going to be gross rent. 5 and over is going to be gross income. 29. Physical deterioration is considered curable whenever. Physical deterioration considered curable. So we're looking for that word curable whenever. It is caused by lack of maintenance. B. It could be repaired. C, it costs less to repair than the added value increase. D, it doesn't cost more to repair than the same repair in a similar property. All right, so what's physical? Physical is like lack of maintenance, right? It's, something is dilapidated, the sagging floors, the broken window, the leaky roof, that's physical. But when is it curable? What do we mean by that word curable? Curable means that it costs less to repair it than the added value, right? You're not going to go repair something for $50,000 and you only get $1,000 back in value, right? So if you repair it, if you decide to repair it, if you decide it's curable, you're like, well, I'm going to spend less to repair it than the value that I'm going to get for it. So yeah, I'll fix the broken window. 30, a feature found in the subject property that is not present in the comparable property will result in A, a negative adjustment to the selling price of the comparable. B, no adjustment since it's not present in the comparable. C, a positive adjustment to the selling price of the comparable. D, an adjustment to the subject equal to the feature that is not present. Well, again, do we adjust the subject? We never, ever touch the subject. And so it's either going to be a negative adjustment or a positive adjustment. We just went over one of these in the last section, right? So the subject has it. And this is how you could take the test. You could say the subject has 4 bedrooms. The comparable has 3. You could do that because the test question is saying subject has it, comparable doesn't. Or you could say the subject has a garage, the comparable doesn't have a garage. So the comparable, then we look at the comparable, comp inferior. When it's inferior, what do? We add. Comp inferior, add to the comp. And so that makes it simple. C, a positive adjustment to the selling price of the comparable. Okay, that is it. How did you do on that one? Post in the comments and let me know. And also, like I said, if you want that study guide, please click the link below. We'll make sure to send it to you. I'm KJ from the KJ Method. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell all of your friends about the KJ Method. I really am trying to get you guys to pass this real estate exam. I will see you the next time.
Jumpstart your real estate career with KJ Method. Pass the exam with flying colors, only with KJ Method.